All right, we are here with Marty from the North Carolina QSO party, and Marty was uh, insane enough to get me to do an interview with him.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks for having me, Steve. I tell you what, I'm honored to be here.
It's an honor on my end, trust me, and this is a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
we're going to get into the inner workings and a whole mess of things regarding QSO parties, and specifically the North Carolina QSO party. And Marty, I think, is going to be a fantastic resource for those of us who want to understand what this is all about and what it is.
Yeah,
So,
I'll give you
Mark,
some inside. I'll give you some
go ahead.
inside baseball. That'd be good. But go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm just like my comment. I'll give you some inside baseball on how things work.
Perfect. Perfect. And my batting average really sucks, Marty. So, so
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead and share some opening thoughts. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're involved with down there
Well,
with the North Carolina QSO party.
well, I do. I live in North Carolina. I am the chairman of the North Carolina QSO Party Committee. The North Carolina QSO Party is sponsored by the Raleigh Amateur Radio Society, and I'm on the board there as one of the committee chairmen. And by virtue of that, we then administer this operating event we call the North Carolina QSO Party. This once a year in February, and it's February 25th this year, by the way, about a month away now. And that's my job. I am the chairman of a committee of seven other hams, some of which are members of RARS, Raleigh Amateur Radio Society, and there were a couple from around the state. So we try to represent everybody in the state to get their ideas on how we should run this thing. And we have a great time, a great bunch of guys, and I couldn't do it without them. I got to tell you, I am not the only one. I am the one everybody sees mostly, but I got to tell you, these guys are really great. So what else about the QSO party? It's an operating event. It's something that we hams like to do. Get on the air. I mean, we go to club meetings, we sit around and socialize. But hey, let's get on the air. And this is one way to do it. And this is one way for somebody, just the average ham with an average station, wants to make some QSOs, have some fun doing, and have a lot of other people on there wanting to talk to you. And that's, to me, that's my definition of fun as far as ham radio goes. So, what do you think about that, Steve? Is that a pretty good explanation, or did I leave anything out?
No, I don't think so. Basically, I would imagine yes. It's got to be a collaborative effort because to get
Yes.
all of this organized, I've always wanted to ask someone. I'm glad I've got you here. Uh,
Okay.
how, explain a little bit, if you could, about the. I know this isn't in the list of questions I sent you, but
That's okay.
how do you prepare for like bonus stations? Can you explain a little bit about bonus
Ah,
stations? Because this is a very common thing in
okay.
QSO parties. And it's one of the things
Right.
that I, as a QSO party out of state, am always hunting for. And maybe you could explain
Right.
what those are all about, point structure. I don't know if there's a point difference.
Okay. Yeah.
And geez, there was one more. Let's just deal with that. And I think the other question may
Okay.
come to me. Go ahead.
Well, the first thing is how do we get them? Get guys. The bonus stations are nothing more than regular hams, just like you and me. And it's people I know. It's people who know me that ask that want to be a bonus station. And so, generally speaking, to be a bonus station, you have to have a good on the air presence. And you have to be able to handle pileups. You have to be able to manage a lot of activity because, as you can imagine, being a bonus station with you and others searching after them, that they're going to be pretty busy. So you basically have to have some experience operating on the air. That's pretty much it. And you have to have a desire to be on the air and to talk to folks during the QSO party. So if you're that kind of a person, that's the kind of person that I get to know and ask personally. I send email, I give them a call on the phone, I talk to them on the air, whatever might happen. But I personally asked them, I said, would you like to be a bonus station? Help us out. And
Do you
they
do you
say
find
yes
do you
most of the
find
time. Yeah.
do you find people contact you to volunteer? Do they volunteer for it, or do you kind of pursue them, or is it a
I
hybrid of both?
pursue It's a hybrid of both, but I would say if you weigh it out, I pursue them more than they pursue me. It's kind of like one of those
Okay.
things that you. It's kind of like you kind of. It's more etiquette to be asked and then to graciously say yes. That's
Etiquette's
kind
a
of the
huge
etiquette.
thing, and
Sort of, yeah,
I'm going to get into
yeah,
the etiquette part of it because there's some
yeah,
things
yeah.
that
And so
nobody. Go ahead.
And so people just say, "Oh, I'm honored to be asked." Yes, and they do. Now, not everybody says yes, if they're for various reasons, but most people
Hmm.
do, and it's an honor to be asked. And when they are asked, they do, and they all the ones we've ever had all do a great job at doing it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's how we get them. So basically that's how they come to be. Now it depends on the kind of bonus we're having. Sometimes they use our own call sign. Sometimes we assign them a one by one call sign if they're part of a spelling bee. It depends on the
Yep.
situation, but there's so whatever the situation is, we explain to them, and I have them on my little short email list, and I give them updates as the year goes by. All the bonus stations that I've recruited for that year are on the little list we have, and then any news or updates we give them, and I communicate or we communicate to them, on a periodic basis and get everything coordinated, make sure they're going to be there, make sure they're on the air, and they have any questions and or how to send their log in or how we treat their log versus other logs. We answer those questions and just basically, and really as time goes on, I get to know all these guys, and I've had the honor. We've had many bonus stations throughout North Carolina over the 10 years that I've been chairman, and I got to tell you, I've gotten to know some great guys, and they're all great, and some of
Mhm.
them return from sometimes they just want to be 1 year because bonus stations are recused from competing, which as it should be. I don't know if you were aware of that or not, but they
Oh,
are.
I wasn't.
They don't appear in the standings. Well, because they're at a distinct advantage. That if they were in the
True.
competition, it would kind of
Hmm.
not be fair. It'd be kind of like the umpires being part of the game. Umpires
Right.
don't take a side, or referees. They don't take the side. They're impartial. So they're going to work anybody, anywhere, whoever it was, and they're impartial. So anyway, some people like doing that, and they do it multiple years. Some just only want to do it 1 year to volunteer because they want to get back in the competition the next year. And we like we'll
Gotcha.
do it both ways, and we like it fine either way.
Okay. I did not know that.
So
So
that's
that's
how
interesting.
that's yeah yeah. So that's how we get them. And then once we have them, the committee meets in October every year, and we decide on what kind of a bonus structure we want to do. Spelling bee or counties or what incentives, et cetera, et cetera. We decide on the call signs and how many they're going to be, and all these nitty gritty details of putting on and what the rules will be for the bonus and what the point scoring will be, et cetera. We just hash all that out in our annual meeting that we have in October every year. And then once we do that, then we just some guys at the meeting take some action assignments. Sometimes I'll recruit everybody. Sometimes we'll divvy it out among the members, or they might know somebody to ask, etc. We'll just kind of work it out, And that's how. And it's all informal, and it's an honor to be asked. And I would say 95% of anyone that's ever been asked has always said yes. There have been other extenuating circumstances, here and there, but basically, most everybody says yes. And it's great. It's a lot of fun.
It's cool.
Mainly because the bonus station, if you like to be on the receiving end of a pileup, that's what you're going to get during a QSO party if you're a bonus station.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of hands like that.
Yeah.
I know I do.
Yeah. You have to be a certain. Well, I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that because
So
what
anyway, okay, go ahead.
what I'm doing is I want to present this in a way for people who have never ever out of state or in state for that matter actually participated in a QSR party. They don't even
Okay, right.
there are a lot of new hams that follow this channel and they're thinking,
right.
well, I've heard this on the air. What is this? What is a QSO party? So if you want to just you covered a lot of it right there.
Yeah.
But if you want to wrap that whole thing up,
Yeah.
why?
Well,
What
yeah.
is a QSO party? What's the purpose of it? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the purpose of the QSO party is to get hams to talk to each other on the air. Here in North Carolina, our purpose is for everybody on the air for that one day to get to know the hams in North Carolina. And we want everybody around the world, United States, North America, around the world, to strive and make a contact or more than one contact with stations in North Carolina so they can get to know us better. And that's our main objective on the air, because we're hams, so we're on the air. So what does somebody need to do if they've never done a QSO party? Well, first thing, you have to have your station on the air at home or wherever. You have to have a station on the air. And HF is the best. So get your station on the air for HF. That's the first step. And then once you're on HF, then it's a lot of times it's a good to find somebody that can mentor you or elmer you about state QSO parties on what to do. But so the next step would be then to go to the website, ncqsoparty.org, and read the rules and read them. And it'll tell you what to do. It'll say, this is the time, this is the date, these are the frequencies where you need to be. Here's some suggestions on what you can say, stuff like that. So basically, you're going to get on the air and you're going to look for stations in North Carolina. And there's a lot of resources on the website that you can read to help you accomplish that. Where the stations are going to be, learn about propagation so that you'll know which band to be on at a certain time of day. You'll need to learn that as a new ham. And this is a great exercise for you to learn something like that. Learn what band is the best band for the time of day that you're going to be on to reach North Carolina, you see, depending on where you live.
Right.
And you're gonna learn all these things. And so that one of the advantages of participating in the QSO party is you exercise these new skills that you have as a new ham on how to reach a certain point at a certain time of day and knowing about the bands and frequencies and how to accomplish that. It's a great exercise on how to do that, and you'll learn. The QSO party is not going to teach you how to do that. You've got to get your elmer or someone to help you or other resources, but it does force you to learn these things so that you can do well in the QSO party. That's one thing. For example, if you lived in Washington State, you're going to be looking at a different band at a different time of day to get North Carolina than you would be, say, if you were in Georgia. Totally different situation. You see,
right?
That's what happens. So once you've learned these things and you read the rules and you need to get on the air, then the next thing really is just to get on the air when it starts. I mean, just like you did last year, we saw you doing last year. You just got on the air and there you were, and you were making cues right for us in your feed here last year. I remember I enjoyed it very much watching it when you were doing it, and that's what you do. And watch some YouTube videos. Watch Steve. Look at Steve's video from last year. And you'll get a good sense of what goes on and what people talk about and what people say, and bring yourself up to speed with that, and then just dive right in and get on the air, and just do it. Call because the stations in North Carolina will be calling CQ. You just answer them, and then if you're a newbie, no problem. We're very friendly here. We'll coach you right along and help you out. There will be no mistakes will be called on. We plenty of mistakes. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Right.
I don't know. I guess that's give you a good feel for it.
That's great. Yeah, and I'm debating on bringing in some of my closing thoughts in the middle of this because they tie right into what you're talking about.
Well,
this is I'm going to give you my approach. All right, how I approach this. And this is for everybody, and the folks that know me know that this is true. I am not a hardcore contester. I'm not. I don't claim to be a contester. However, I approach I approach any type of contest, including QSO parties, as a type of learning exercise. It's stretching. It's a stretch for me. I am a rag chewer. I'm not a hit and run. And what I find, the reason why I enjoy the QSO party so much is because, one, I inevitably run into people that I talk to generally on the bands. They're like, oh, hey, Steve, how's it going? It's fun. Okay, it is. It's cool. Now, you're not going to sit there and rag chew for 15 minutes to a half hour. Don't do that. I'm telling you guys, don't do that. These guys are there. And I would say if they're on there and they're locking down a frequency for hours on end, they're there for a reason, and that's to score points. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But
that happened. Yeah. Yes.
The nice part about the QSO parties is it's usually not, it's not so balls to the wall, 5973 Vermont, out of there. Yeah, it's much more.
You're not going to get the hook if you're not doing well. You're fine. Just do the best you can. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's one of the big things, right? For those folks, there's two more things I wanted to touch on this. For those folks that have heard the QSO parties going on and they're like, and they always wanted to kind of get into contesting, and they hear like the CQ Worldwide, which is a bombastic mess. Anybody who's ever heard, or, in October when the CQ Worldwide comes on, or the ARRL DX contest, I'm talking to big dogs, WPX. That is a whole different, it's a whole different thing. And it can be very intimidating and it can be overwhelming. The QSO parties are a great opportunity to do exactly what you said, Marty. Dip your toe in the water. Learn how to listen if the band is busy, because it can be very busy in these QSO parties where you have a lot of QRM, you got a lot of overlap happening in the past bands. So it teaches you, how to run the radio, how to listen, and how to complete an exchange in a timely manner and move along. So it produces a skill set for those of us like myself that's not natural. That's not my wheelhouse.
Right.
And it does be patient. It takes time because it takes clarity of thought. And once you get going, you'll start to get into the groove of it. And it's actually quite fun. There was one more thing. Let me
laid back. While you're thinking, let me just interject with one comment. A kind of a comment I always say about is QSO party a contest? The answer is yes, sort of. Well, no, it is. It is a contest because we give awards and everything like that. But you're right. It's laid back, and the way I express it is a QSO party is a contest that every once in a while a real QSO will break out. You'll have that.
It's happened to me.
You see somebody, it's happened. Yep. Or somebody, or you'll be on there and somebody will recognize you from YouTube, and you'll have maybe a very brief, very polite and nice 30-second conversation, which is more than adequate and entirely appropriate in a QSO party.
That's key right there, what you just said. And that is, there's a fine line between, I hear this a lot, and I would discourage people from doing this. You don't have to sit there and keep your eye on the clock. But if you know that you just heard 100 people trying to get this station, you were calling, he got you. He engages you, right? And don't sit there and yap for like a minute or two. There's 50 people or 100 people or 300 people waiting to get in there. It's easy to get, I've had this happen to me before and I feel so bad because I get caught up in a quote QSO
Yeah.
And it,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
goes like 2 minutes, and I'm like, I got to
Yeah.
get out of
Yeah.
here. I really got to get out of here. But you don't want to be rude. So,
Right.
yeah, something to consider. Um,
You
there's
gotta use
something
your
you,
judgment.
yeah, yeah. But see, that's a learning exercise. For me, I'm a
Right.
reg
Right.
chewer.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
tough
Well,
for
right.
somebody like me.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other thing was, let me just throw this out there because this I
Okay.
think is really important.
Okay.
If you're not if you have no interest in contesting, right? But you're kind of thinking, well, I don't want to participate in this. And you're kind of thinking, on the other hand, well, it'd be kind of fun to participate, but I'm not going to put nearly enough effort in to win anything. Who cares? What you can
Well,
do is go through, work through bands that you hear them on, hand out some points. I call it handing out some points. These guys that are working in state in these QSO parties are looking for points.
right.
Even if you work 3 people, if I've worked QSO parties where I've only heard 6 stations out of an entire state on 40 meters, let's say New Jersey, I'm not kidding. I was questioning whether I should even submit a log or not. Don't think like that, because
Oh, you
those are
should.
points for those guys. It's quick, it's painless.
Right.
Go ahead and do it out of the kindness of your heart, because that's why they're there. So I don't know what you think about that, but that's huge.
Fair. Well, yeah. The thing is to have fun, and if fun for you is if you have a goal and you say, I want to see how many different places in North Carolina I can get, or if you have a goal of say how many bands I want to see what the bands are like, or you have a goal of I want to have a higher score than last year. Yeah, even though you may not feel like you can win or anything, that's great. You should achieve your own. You should set goals for yourself and then meet those goals and see how you did and compare yourself against what other standard you decide. It's certainly, if you're for rag chewers, you're right. I got to tell you something. I would say, in my dealings with all of my main job is to get the North Carolina ops on the air at this time. So I'm talking to you in Vermont, but so I suspect that there's going to be a lot of your audience is going to be a lot of people from lots of other places than North Carolina. So I would just but my one of
Mhm.
the things that I do is I talk to people in North Carolina, hams in North Carolina, and I got to tell you, there certainly are some contesters in North Carolina that participate in North Carolina CUSA party. They do, and they love it. I know them well. But I would say the majority of hams that participate in the North Carolina CUSA party are not generally contesters. They are just on the air
Yep.
because they want to represent North Carolina. They want to give people the opportunity who from outside of North Carolina to work us here, and they want us, and they just get on the air, and they're not hardcore contesters for the most part. But they do. It's kind of like hams that are not contesters, but they'll do field day, for example.
Mhm.
I'm sure we all know hams that they're not
Yep.
contesters, but they pretty much always do field day, right? And I'm one of those.
Yep. Me
Um,
too.
but what we're trying to do is I'm trying to convince the hams in North Carolina to put North Carolina CUSA party in the same boat with that. You know, so you're
Right.
going to find a lot of non-contesters, and I hope more. That's my job to get them recruited, is to participate in there. So you're not going to have when you're participating and you're doing your thing and you're calling stations in North Carolina. Don't worry. That guy probably is not a contester that you're talking to either, in all likelihood. So, feel safe. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Very good. I think let me hit on something else. There's a couple things I'm
Okay.
pulling all this stuff that I wrote down for myself into the middle of this because it's all relevant to what we're talking
Sure.
about. Um,
Absolutely.
from an out of state perspective,
Mhm.
what can I do to help make the QSO party successful? It's not hard. And I wrote down a couple things. One is, this is one thing that frustrates me. is finding stations that are operating that I'm looking for, and they're not on the cluster, which means you have to hunt for them. If you have access to the cluster and you're working even if you're not, you don't have to work the QSO party. If you hear a station and you happen to look and you're running a fish finder, or you have a logger with a cluster running, and you look at the frequency and you hear, oh, that's North Carolina station working the QSO party, North Carolina QSO party. He's not on the cluster. Put him on the cluster, because everybody is hunting these guys. It's a hunt. And the reason why I say that is how I approach QSO parties. If you go to my QRZ page, guys, and I'm not bragging at all, because the reason why I'm saying this, when I say this, you're going to understand. When I work a QSO party, I have no intentions of winning anything. I don't care. I'm going to work as many counties, because QSO parties, to me, are about hunting counties. My goal was to nail every single Pennsylvania county. I have yet to do that, and I've won that. I've taken the Vermont out of state first place multiple times in Pennsylvania, and I can't get all of the counties. So I've come close. I've gotten within 1, 2, or 3, I think. I can't remember what the numbers were. Really close. Yeah. And that's casual. I'm just sitting here hunting around on the band. I'm not like bam, 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 sitting here with a diaper on with a cooler sitting next to me for, 24 straight hours. No, I don't do that. So my point is, that's a goal, and it makes it really fun, to be honest with you. Go ahead.
Yes, well, that's a goal you set for yourself, and that's great. I think it's fantastic. Well, there are 100 counties in North Carolina. And we try to get them all on the air, but I got to tell you, that's tough. Well, I don't know how many there are in Pennsylvania. How many are there in Pennsylvania? Do you know? I do remember.
60 to 7. I thought there's 67 or something like that.
Yeah. So yes. So that's perfect. You set a goal for yourself, and that's what you do. County hunters participate. And so so the question you asked me, I'll answer that now. You want me to answer it now?
Sure.
The question about what can an out-of-state person do to help the QSO party the most? And you're right, exactly. If they work you or here in North Carolina, spot them. Because spotting is totally open in North Carolina QSO party. You don't get penalized for being unassisted and all that kind of stuff. Spotting is completely okay in all forms in North Carolina QSO party. So that's exactly right. Number one, spotting. Number two is to get on the air and work the stations, obviously. And number three is send in your log when you're finished.
There you go.
If there's a second thing that an out-of-state person can do is when you're finished, you have your log, go upload it on the website. It's easy to do. Hopefully you get it. You've done it with your logging program. As long as you can make a Cabrillo file, let us have it. Please give it to us. It doesn't matter if you have one QSO in it or 100 or 1,000.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
Yep. Take the time and do it.
That's right. And do it. And then, here's what's really great too, is in your log, there's a place for soapbox. And this is something that many people may not know about, but I encourage people to do this. In your log, there's lines you can put in your file called soapbox. Are you familiar with that, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. That's just free form text you can write. You can write whatever you want on those lines. When you precede it with soapbox, you can write anything you want. And we really want to hear about what your opinion is, what you happened, or a funny story, or anything. We want to know your anecdote about your experience with QSO party. It doesn't have to be a whole
No, you don't.
It can only be, it's called soapbox. You know what that is. And I love reading those soapboxes. I tell you what, and anybody can go online and look in the results section and click on the soapbox, and you can read them too. Anybody can read them from any year, from the past 12 years. You can go back and read those soapboxes. Wow. They are great. So those three things: participate, send in your log, spot the North Carolina stations, and write something on the soapbox lines. We publish it, on the website.
That's cool.
That's what they can do.
That's cool.
And then, of course, if you're in state, if you happen to be from North Carolina and you're watching the podcast now, get on the air.
I know, right?
During
Yeah.
the Q party, yeah.
Get on there.
Just get on there. Just get on there and call CQ.
Yep. There's one thing I wanted to mention about, now that we're talking about operating, there's something that I've noticed, which, to be honest with you, I just started doing. And I can't believe it's the narcissistic tendencies in all ham radio operators that are pursuing success. All right.
Yeah.
When I say this, I know it's going to grate on some people's nerves, but there's a caveat, and let me explain. I have done this. If the bands are, let's say you're on 40 meters, and like you were saying, Marty, you have to look at the path and time of day and what band is open. If I'm trying to work, let's say, North Carolina, well, I know for a fact North Carolina's a stretch during the middle of the day on 40 meters. That's going to be a stretch for me.
Right.
I run out of steam. Yeah, Pennsylvania's a kill box. That's a kill box for me at any time. I can work Jersey, Pennsylvania anytime. 20 over on 5 watts in Pennsylvania once gray line comes through. That's a walk in the park. Virginia, 80 meters. Once gray line comes through, North Carolina, 40 meters. 80 and 40, yeah, all good. North Carolina's good. So understanding that, there are times when the band, you'll hear, let's say I'll hear North Carolina stations in there, right? But they're not really strong. And then as the band kind of moves along, you'll see as we approach gray line from my QTH to North Carolina, 40 meters starts to stretch its legs a little bit. They'll start coming in stronger, and I'll see the band start lighting up. So I'll start working stations down through there. Well, and this is a hypothetical. I haven't seen this with North Carolina, but I've seen it with other states. And I've done this. So let's say you have a lot of open spots of a lot of open frequencies on the band. And you're just not hearing a lot of stations from that state that you're trying to work in their QSO party. Well, I've gotten in there and I've called CQ North Carolina QSO party, NC stations only, please. Now I'm in Vermont and I've done that multiple times. Here's the catch. This is what I'm going to say. And I hear this one individual do this, and it is so unethical. It grates on my nerves. I'm not going to say who it is. And I guarantee you all of us know who it is because we've heard him before. He'll get in there on a crushed band where there is no room. So you got all of North Carolina on the air, right? This is hypothetical. So you got all of the state on the air, and he'll get in there and he'll call North Carolina from out of state. And a lot of you will say, well, what's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. However, keep in mind that if there's a ton of openings there, have at it. This is my personal opinion, all right? Have at it, but approaching it from an ethical standpoint. Give the frequencies to the stations in the state, in the QSO party. They're not hunting for anybody. We're hunting for them. Give them the opportunity to lock down a signal, a frequency. And if there's room, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing unethical about it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that in any situation. I'm just saying, be courteous. Give the guys in North Carolina the opportunity to get a frequency. If the band is busy and there's no room, don't take the last frequency in there. Don't do it and try to call stations in North Carolina because these guys need them. Go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, you're from the North. We have a saying here in the South. It's called home training. You ever heard that term? Home training?
Home training?
It's basically home training.
Nope.
It just means do what your mother's taught you to do when you were a kid. You know? Be nice. you're
Yeah.
right. If the band is chock full of frequency, if the band is full, and we strive in North Carolina to do that, and I have tuned across 40-meter phone, and it just kind of I want to just kind of puts a tear to my eye when I hear the whole phone band is nothing but North Carolina. That just it warms my heart when
It's
I see
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. But if that's the case, you do not need to call CQ North Carolina only. You don't need to if you're not
No.
from there. You don't. No.
No.
But you're right. But it's perfectly appropriate to do that when things are slow. If there's not many and you're not hearing many, well, sure, give it a try. But no, not in terms when it's like 40 meters at 6 o'clock at night and the whole country is coming in
Yeah.
and everybody and his brothers here in North Carolina. No, don't do it that. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had insane pileups doing that, but the band, there was tons of space. And this is what I wanted to finish with. Okay, guys. All right, let's step it up. I just started doing this, and I can't believe it took me years to figure this out. I'm a narcissist. This is narcissistic tendencies. I get a frequency and I want to nail it down. It's my frequency. Well, first of all, no, it's not. Nobody owns a frequency. All right. We know that.
Right.
But I actually have this on video. I don't know which video it is. One of the QSO parties I worked, people were like, holy crap. I can't believe you just did that. I was doing that. I was calling CQ such and such from out of state because the band, it was like wide open. There was nobody there. And I'm like, I worked everybody there was to work. So I'm like, okay, forget it. And there was only like 8 people that I worked on the entire band. So there are all these clear frequencies. So I started calling CQ and I said, so I didn't do it with everybody, but only the strongest stations. So I listened and I had stations from that state call me. They needed Vermont. Why they weren't on a frequency calling, I have no idea because they were plowing in here. Right.
Well, I hope that wasn't the North Carolina QSO party.
No, it wasn't. No, this was not too within the past few months, I think. I can't honestly remember, but I said to a couple of them, I said, hey, you got a great signal in here. You are spanking it into New England. Do you want the frequency? And they were shocked. They're like, seriously? I said, yeah. Do you want, I'll give you the frequency. I'm out of state. It's more important for you to have the, no, we're just kind of hunting around. So they weren't real serious. They were just kind of hunting around, and they probably really weren't participating. But my point is, don't be, if you have a frequency and you have a strong station come in, be the bigger guy, the bigger op, ask them, say, would you like the frequency? There's nothing wrong with that. It's what I call everything in this hobby. I approach from the standpoint of what a friend told me. He's from the UK, and I 100% agree. Everything over there, the reason why we do what we do is to promote friendship and goodwill. Yes. That's it.
Yes.
That's it. Yes. That's friendship and goodwill. If you have a station that calls you from the state you're trying to work, and he's got a great signal, ask him. Say, do you want the? If he says no, fine, keep going. But see, that's like again, you don't have to do that, but there you go.
But that's the way. That's the way it should be, and that's what that all comes under the category, Steve, of what we call home training. It just be friendly, be step aside when it's appropriate to do so. But if it's appropriate for you to stand your ground, then stand your ground. But you don't. You use your discretion and you promote friendship. And this is what when I go around to the club to speak at all the different go around North Carolina and talk about what we're talking about right here. I just said, hey, have fun, represent North Carolina well, make show the folks that we're friendly here and you want to come here and you want to live here, and that we have a good time here and we have great bunch of hams here. We've got the best bunch of hams in the world right here in North Carolina, Yes, all the above. I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Do you know? I haven't looked at this. It's probably on your website somewhere. Do you know how many operators actually participate? Let's take an average number over, let's say, the past several years, what you've seen. You said you've been doing it 10 years, right? So what is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
average number, do you
yeah.
think?
Well, we do keep some metrics. We obviously know how many logs we've received. In 10 years ago, we received about 130 for the event. This last year, we got just under 550 this last year, number of logs. We also keep statistics on the number of QSOs that are made by everyone. And last year, from my pull off the top of my head, I think there were 59,000 something QSOs that were made by everyone. Now that doesn't mean we didn't count them twice by looking at both sides. We just looked at one side or the other, but not both.
Gotcha.
So in other words, there weren't really 25,000, but we say 50,000 because we look at both ends of it. No. There were actually 59,000 QSOs that were made in 10 hours. That's basically 5,900 QSOs an hour on an average. Roughly.
That's awesome.
And that's by approximately about approximately about 220 to 250 hams in North Carolina. So that's making
Wow.
some QSOs. I mean, those are the kind of metrics that we keep. We don't know about the casual person. As far as counting people, we know how many logs we get. We know how many logs we get from North Carolina. But we don't know about people that make QSOs, and we welcome them to make QSOs, but not send in the log. I mean, we wish they would send in their log, but it's like, if you want to do it and participate and not send your log in, you certainly can, and we encourage you to do so. But
Right.
send us your log. I mean, that helps us out with these statistics. So I can't really say how many people actually participated. But we do know that we have we got 550 logs last year, and those are people that were serious enough about it to submit their log. So,
Was that a lot? 550, was that above normal or average or below normal?
no, it's been steadily increasing every year. That's what we like to
That's
see.
good. That's
Um,
good.
I gauge it against other. You can compare yourself to other QSO parties. The top QSO party in the United States is the California QSO party. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. It's the California
No.
QSO party. Yeah, and it's a big one, and it's a fun one. And I would encourage you to participate in that one too. It's a lot of fun. And they receive just shy of 1,000 logs every year. And that's they're number one. Number two is Florida. I'm not sure how many Florida gets. I think they're in the 600 or 700 logs. Georgia is a big one. So I would say that we are probably in the top tier of North Carolina is probably with 540, and that's sort of kind of the litmus test. The number of logs you get is sort of kind of the way we kind of gauge the general participation of a QSO party is the number of logs. And we get 540, and Georgia gets about that many. Florida gets a few hundred more. They're big. Texas is another big one. I don't know how many they do, but I would say that if you were to name 10 QSO parties, ask somebody who's into that, I think North Carolina will be on most people's lists. I think, it's good. We're very proud of that.
Yeah, that's neat. That's neat.
Yeah.
I think,
and of course, you guys have too. You guys have the New England QSO party up there. And
yep.
Do you participate? You're a home station there in that one, obviously.
I have done New England.
Yeah.
I think I just saw a Vermont QSO party. I thought was coming this weekend. Is that this weekend? I should know that. I'm in Vermont.
You caught me off. You caught me off guard. I don't have it, but you can go to WB7BNM, and he can look up there, and he's got a whole page of only state QSO parties. If you're interested in that, and you find out when they're coming in. So you caught me off guard if I didn't know. I should have looked that up, Steve, and you caught me off guard on that one.
I should have looked that up.
So you guys have got two. You got the New England one, and you've got the Vermont and Vermont. So you got two every year then. Good.
Yep. And North American, of course, the North American. We just had that.
Yes. for all
Yep.
of us. Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, yeah, last weekend. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So I don't know. I think was there anything else, Marty, that you wanted to? We covered the logs, the emphasis on that. Oh, our paper. I haven't looked on the website. Are paper logs accepted?
No longer for us. We
No
did away
longer.
with that 2 years ago. We did away with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you an interesting story. We thought there would be some pushback on that, but we got no pushback on that at all. So it's
Wow.
just so easy now,
Cool.
Steve, to upload a log. You don't even have to email anymore. I just
Yep.
think we just made the decision that paper logs we were putting in, we were getting, I think the last year we got paper logs, we got about 20 out of 500 and something. And we're thinking, and we were putting a good bit of effort. There was a little bit of administration that went into handling paper logs. And we just
Okay.
felt that, with what, less than 20 out of 500 is what, 1%? We felt that it's time to go ahead and, cut the cord. So
Yep. Pull the plug.
pull the plug, and there's been no pushback on it. And our logs haven't diminished. And we've even gotten nice emails from the old timers that are not used to computers and stuff. They say, "Hey, we understand. What can we do to give us some tips on how we can get this thing done electronically?" And we help them out. Glad to do it.
Good deal. Yeah. I know a young guy. I think his name's Matt. He's down in Mississippi. He's a young cat, and he refuses to do anything with a logger on a computer. He still paper logs.
Yeah,
I'm like, how can you do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I just
There
I've
are
been
there are
I've
a
been,
few of us. There are a few of those. And I'll tell you a funny story. We got a guy, his name Wilson Lamb. I forget his call. He's an old timer. He refuses to even touch a computer, let alone look at one. I don't know if he might even refuse to even look at one. I don't know. And and I was talking to him. I saw him at a ham fest, and he said, "Marty, I saw you left prep log." He says, I says, I can't participate now. I says, "Yes, you can, Wilson." So what he does, he went and got his son, and his son is not a ham. And he told me he wants to participate in the QSO party. And even though so he got his son sits down with him and logs for him on the computer while he operates. And he said it was the best thing because now he has his time to spend time with his son. And I tell you,
cool.
and Wilson is he's a great guy, and he's one of our sponsors. He sponsors the plaque. Everything is great. But he went and took the opportunity to make a connection in his family to help him to overcome the obstacle rather than complain about it.
Yeah.
So I commend him greatly on that. Wilson Lamb. Hey, Wilson, how you doing?
Hey, Wilson. That's
No,
great
Wilson.
stuff.
I'm sorry. Wilson probably will not be watching this because Wilson doesn't touch.
Oh, so yeah, he'd have to have a
If Wilson's
smartphone
son
or
shows it to him or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, we have a great time. Yeah.
Well,
So
we'll
go ahead.
We'll do it in spirit, Wilson. But go ahead. I was going to ask you: is there anything you want to wrap up with? Because man, we just absolutely mauled that list. That's pretty well covered.
Yeah, it's pretty well covered. A QSO party is just an operating event. It's like a contest. It's laid back. Don't worry. It's a lot of fun. Set a goal for yourself. Learn and improve your skills, your MCOM skills. Get on the air and improve your skills and have fun and get to know. And for North Carolina, get to know North Carolina. We're a friendly bunch, and anybody and everybody is welcome to participate. And send in your log.
There you go. You heard it from the big dog.
And let me tell you what, it's February 25th.
Okay.
Starting at 10 a.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. I think that's what 20. That's what I convert that to Zulu for me, Steve. I have it written down here somewhere, but it's 10 a.m. Eastern to 8
8
p.m.
p.m.
Eastern time on the 25th. And I'll put in my plug for my friends in South Carolina. The South Carolina QSO party is the day before ours on the 24th. I'll put in a plug for them.
Oh,
And so because we do
good deal.
both of ours on one day apart.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So it's a great weekend of fun, a whole weekend of fun on the air.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. All right, Marty, if that's it, I'm going to go ahead and rip the plug out of the wall and wish you all the best. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I think this was really neat and informative, and I learned a bunch of stuff I didn't know. I don't know anything about the inner workings of what goes on to put something like that together. So the onus is on us at this point to make it successful. So I'll tell all my viewers, doesn't matter where you are. Even if you're in Western Europe, you can hit North. I talk to guys every day. Oh yeah, I've been working down the Eastern Seaboard. Get in there. Go ahead, Marty.
We have a regular from the Czech Republic.
See,
every year. Send his log in the Czech Republic every year. Yes,
awesome.
That's right. My pleasure, Steve. I'll tell you what. Thank you so much, and I'll work you on the air. I'm going to be. Oh, I got to tell you. Can I get one more thing in? Just one little thing.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be operating at the USS North Carolina Museum Battleship in Wilmington this year with the group down there. So we're going to be operating from the battleship USS North Carolina. So I'm going to. So if get on the air, and if you work NI4BK and on CW, more than likely it'll be me.
Awesome.
So get on the air.
All right, you guys look for him, and I think that's it, Marty. I will get the credentials for the QSO party, the link to the page on the description of the video, and the video will go up tonight. Okay.
Thank you so much. All right, Steve. Great. It's my pleasure, and it's great talking to you.
Okay. God bless you and the family, buddy, and I appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Manny. Hey, stay warm up there. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you.